like I said, everything that you're going to write in your conclusion, you've already written before. So we're really going to have to dig deep and try to figure out how we can reword some of these things. It's my least favorite paragraph to write because, again, I've already said all of this stuff, so I just have to say it again, and that sometimes can get a little frustrating. But unfortunately, that's just the way it has to be. So the first thing that we're going to do in our conclusion paragraph is we are going to start with a transition word. Just like we have in most of our paragraphs, we are going to start with a transition word. My two favorite to start to start a conclusion is in conclusion or to conclude. You could also use finally. That would work as well. But I would stick with one of those three to start your conclusion. So go ahead and pick one of those three: to conclude, in conclusion, or finally. Another one I just thought of you could use is in summary. That would work as well. And again, you can kind of go back and tweak it depending upon what you need after you've written your paraphrase thesis. So what you're going to do is you are going to reword your thesis statement. And a way that I have found that you can do this is by looking at your original thesis statement and pulling out key words. So if I was looking at my original thesis statement, I would look at the word connections, I would look at oil pipelines, I would look at message, trusting, herself. I would look at all of those things and figure out how I can reword it. You can flip-flop your thesis statement, but I can't tell you what to write. All I can tell you is to reword it, because if I tell you what to write, then I wrote your revised thesis statement, not you. So I'm going to give you an example of my original thesis and then my paraphrase thesis, and I want you to spend some time reflecting and figuring out how you can reword your thesis statement. So my original thesis statement was, people should read this book because it contains connections to not only Frank L. Baum's The Wonderful Wizard of Oz and real-life oil pipelines, but also because it has a message of trusting in oneself even if one sees herself as wicked. That was my original. My paraphrase thesis is, in conclusion, The Wicked Will Rise is not only a good book because of the plot, but also because of the real-world connections and the message of trusting oneself. So I really kind of condensed it and reworded it. I realize that this can be difficult. Okay? Get off your silly games. Focus on what you're trying to do, and reword your thesis statement. All right, moving on to the next row. We only have 3 rows for our conclusion, so we're almost there. Moving on to our next row. Our next row is our paraphrase lead-in topic. What I want you to do is I want you to make a final... I'm not going to talk over you, so I'm going to wait. Thank you so much. I want you to make a final conclusion about your main character. What did your main character learn by the end of the book? Okay? Make a judgment about them, but do not give away the ending. But kind of sum it up. What did your character learn? And if you have multiple main characters, you can include all of them, or you can go back to your shortened summary at the beginning of your book, or at the beginning of your paper, and try to figure out, okay, which one did I talk about in this one? Did I talk about all 3? Okay, I'm going to go back and I'm going to talk about all 3 in the ending. That's perfectly fine if you've got multiple main characters. But I do not want you to give away the ending of the book. So here is my example. Amy Gum learned a lot about who she is and what it really means to be wicked. She learns that not everything is as it seems, both in her home of Kansas and also in the land of Oz. I would keep this 2 to 3 sentences, maybe 4 if you've got more than one main character that learns different things. You can combine your main characters to say, you know, Citra and Rowan both learn to blah, 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 blah. Or if you've got another 2 main characters, that's kind of the only one that I can think of off the top of my head. If they both learn the same lesson, you can combine the 2. Or if you just have one main character, just do that. Okay? Give you some time to write that. Okay, now, you guys, I gave you options for your paraphrased hook. So you're going to kind of go down a different avenue depending upon what you used for your hook. So if you used a quotation from the book, you are going to reword the quote in your own words. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. If you used an interesting fact about the author, in your own words, you're going to tie what you know about the author to what you know about the book. If you used a quotation from a book review, reword what the review says and make sure to include the name of the article or website. Okay? Now, here's my example. I used the book review one. As Goodreads.com said, in order to rid oneself of an enemy, one must first rid her of her confidants. This is the hardest one that you are going to do. Instead of thinking about it as simply rewording a quote, tell me what the quote means. For example, let's say that your quote was something about like fighting for what you believe in. You could say something like, as Aveyard said, people should always remember to fight for what is right. Summarize the quote that you used to the best of your ability, really telling me what that quote means. Why is that quote significant and why is it important? This is difficult, I know. I understand that. But you need to tie back what you said in your hook to your conclusion. Okay? Go ahead.